Today, the Harris-Walz campaign announced that it has raised $361 million in August. That's nearly triple the amount that the Trump campaign raised last month. Vice President Harris appeared on Univision Radio, where she made this pitch to Latino voters.
We need to turn the page on this Trump era. You know, this person who has talked about how immigrants poison the blood of America. This person who seeks to divide our nation, belittling people, belittling members of the military, for goodness sake. We need to have a leader and a president who understands the ambitions and the dreams and the hopes and the prayers of the people, and then goes to where that is to help meet those ambitions and those dreams. That's the kind of vice president I've been. That's the kind of president I will be. And I think that's what the American people want right now.
With 2 months to turn the page on the Trump era, a North Carolina appeals court ruled that Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s name should be removed from the state's ballots, just as the first ballots of the 2024 election were to be mailed out. Donald Trump was in that key battleground state today, where he accepted the endorsement of the Fraternal Order of Police in Charlotte. That endorsement from the nation's largest police union comes despite the fact that Donald Trump is a convicted criminal, facing prosecution on many other charges, and has repeatedly said that he would, quote, absolutely pardon January 6th rioters, including ones who assaulted police officers. And let's not forget, Donald Trump was also criminally indicted for his role on the largest single-day mass assault of law enforcement. Meanwhile, Republicans in North Carolina are seeing worrying signs in the race for governor. North Carolina Attorney General Josh Stein, the Democratic candidate for governor, is ahead 6 points in the race against a Trump-endorsed Republican candidate for governor of North Carolina, Mark Robinson, who continues to court weird and bizarre controversy almost every day of his campaign. Joining us now is the North Carolina Attorney General Josh Stein. He's the Democratic nominee to become that state's next governor. It was awkward for me to even read that, Attorney General, because, you know, some Republicans in North Carolina are getting worried about their candidate. There was a lot of time for them to get worried about your opponent. A lot of time. It was not. He's not a surprise to anybody.
No, his extremism is very well known, and the voters of North Carolina, now that they have the opportunity to truly understand who he is and what he's about, I'm confident will reject his brand of extremism. They want somebody who will fight for them, somebody who has a proven track record of delivering for them. As Attorney General, we've eliminated the biggest backlog of untested rape kits in the entire country. We have helped tackle the opioid crisis. We led the national bipartisan coalition of state attorneys general to hold those drug companies accountable, and we've won more than $50 billion. It's trying to address real problems in people's lives, not fight these crazy culture wars just like Mark Robinson does.
Yeah, the polling indicates that it's working. A real clear polling average in North Carolina shows you're at 48%. Robinson's at a little under 40%. You never want to lean too far into that stuff for fear of losing the momentum or having voters sort of stay home. But what does that advantage at the moment get you in terms of being able to get out there and possibly broaden the coalition? And I ask you this from the context of looking at this as a national race, including the presidential race, where North Carolina is a state with a Republican supermajority in the legislatures, and yet is in play for Kamala Harris.
Well, I will tell you this. I'm working my tail off every day to try to win this race. I would love to win it by as wide a margin as possible in order to help lift all boats, to help the vice president win North Carolina, to break the supermajority in the General Assembly, to put good people onto the courts and good folks onto our Council of State. But this is North Carolina, and the polls always tighten. I was up 7 points in 2016 and in 2020 in October. I won both of those races by less than a half a point. North Carolina is just always tight. And so we're going to keep building. We're going to keep fighting. And if folks will help us, we would love it. They can make phone calls. They can contribute. Just go to joshstein.org.
Let me ask you this. Explain to those people who don't understand that, because it happens in a few southern states where there are Republican supermajorities in the legislature, and yet for years, statewide officials like yourself, like the current governor, have been elected as Democrats. Tell me how that works.
Gerrymandering. It's a cancer on our democracy. Basically, the electorate in North Carolina is 50-50. I know this because I won with 50.125% of the vote in the last election. but our gerrymandered legislature is about 6-4, 60% Republican, 40% Democrat. It is unrepresentative of the will of the voters because they drew the lines. They use computer technology in order to accentuate their power, and it creates real challenges in terms of stymieing what the voters truly want. You cannot gerrymander an entire state. That's why I have a fighting chance to win.
Attorney General, talk to me about expanding the current base that you've got. Where are there vulnerabilities that now that you're enjoying this lead, and I get your point that these leads sometimes evaporate and things get very tight, but given that you, on paper at least, have this lead, what does it allow you to do that you haven't been able to do?
Mark Robinson is so beyond the pale. I mean, he is beyond extreme. He is as fringe as they come. He says awful things about people. He says women are not called to lead. He calls gay people filth. From a church pulpit a few weeks ago, he said some folks need killing. I mean, it's just beyond the pale. He also wants to slash public school funding, make it harder for people to vote, and completely ban abortion in North Carolina without exception. There are a lot of people, a lot of unaffiliated voters, a lot of Republican folks, including Republican women, who do not want a leader like that, who is all about dividing us, promoting hate, speaking violence. We are better than that here in North Carolina, and we have a real opportunity to grow our coalition because my campaign is about fighting for people. Every person. I don't care if you're a Republican. I don't care if you're a Democrat. I don't care if you're unaffiliated. I want you to have the best chance at a brighter future.
So the fighting for people means different things to different people. Could mean climate, could mean schooling, could mean abortion, could mean inflation, could mean wages, could mean jobs. What's the most effective issue right now in North Carolina, or what's at the top for you?
About building an economy that works for everyone, that continues to grow, but works for more people, where we tackle the high cost of living, we put more money into the pockets of working folks, cut taxes for them, raise the minimum wage, and have more good-paying jobs. That's where we have a big opening because Mark Robinson would kill jobs with his culture wars. The awful things he says about people would scare away workers, it would scare away businesses, it would damage our economy. And there are a lot of people who are worried about that. We've been down that road in North Carolina before. You may remember, Ali, the HB2 bathroom bill. We lost out on billions of dollars of economic activity. NBA All-Star Game, NCAA tournament, big corporate investments, they all evaporated. We don't want to go down that road again.
Attorney General Josh Stein, good to see you. Thank you for joining us again this evening.